seems like a lot of towns aren't using them, and it's just stuff that nobody's really looked at before. I don't have anything specific right now, but
and again, we're also talking about, as we look to how we're trying to close the budgetary gap here and maintain our level of services, again, we have to look inward a little bit, but I think Proposition 2.5 has forced local communities, and it really irks me when I hear state legislators, including the Speaker of the House, saying things like, cities and towns have to tighten their belts, cities and towns have to get tougher, cities and towns have to, you know what, we've been living under these constraints for a long, long time, and I think that, that's a misnomer. There isn't any real fat in the local budgets here. We're heavily reliant upon state aid, so even some federal money to some degree. And now the only thing that's left to do is balance the budget on the backs of the town employees, and that's not necessarily fair either. We need to be fair to these people. We need to pay them a fair wage. We need to give them a decent benefits package. But by the same token, we need to look at some of these things also. We have to look at those those packages and those benefits, and we have to sit down with the unions and with the collective bargaining groups and really take a good, honest, hard look as to how we're doing business. And we can do that fairly, and we can do it amicably, rather than across the table and pointing the finger at each other. I think everybody just has to get on the same page that way. But unfortunately, there are very few areas that we can look at where we can cut and not have a significant impact on personnel. I mean, over 84% of our budget are people. People. Right, and I don't think we're overstaffed in any particular area anywhere, here in North Reading and across the board for municipalities. So I think it's unfair for our state legislators and our state leadership to be pointing the fingers at the municipalities and asking us to do that. And that's part of the message where we have to fight back. And part of what we're talking about here is marketing, whether it be marketing a program or marketing credibility of this board and our elected officials to the general populace out there. That's what we should be striving to do. I mean, the issues are going to be what they are. Take the banner off the local newspaper and it's all the same across the state. We need to get out there and market ourselves as elected officials, representatives of our community, and and people need to have some confidence in us. And I think that's the biggest thing we can build first. And then with that comes some needed change, hopefully.
But under status quo, Proposition 2.5, we're kind of confined as to what our options are.
Right. But we have to be realistic with people, let them know this is what it is. And when we say something, and this is where we've been, we've been able to stomp out the brush fires, as the chairman pointed out. We've become a fire department again here, stomping out the brush fires, and we've been lucky. There have been some significant windfalls, whether it be through state aid, whether it be through insurance premiums that are going to be a little bit less than what we anticipated, which assist us in closing the budgetary gap and maintaining a certain level of services. But from a credibility standpoint, nothing hurts us more than when we sound as though we're crying wolf out there, during the budgetary process. In a town meeting, we pass a budget, and all of a sudden, we don't follow through. People don't get laid off. Services don't get cut back because we've been the beneficiary of some sort of a windfall. And to me, and I would say the last 2 or 3 years here now, take those windfalls and put them away. There's nothing wrong with having something in your savings account for next year, but follow through with what we've said we're going to do. And we haven't been very good at that. But from a fortunate standpoint, I think we're at the point where we're going to have very few choices. We're going to have to follow through.
Well, we do face two challenges in the 2009 fiscal year budget that we're already embarked in, and that's energy and fees. The estimates that were made for excise taxes could in fact be higher than we might anticipate basing that on. We're okay for this past budget year, but car sales are way off.
And, excise tax. The building department issued 4 permits. So building fees, all those fees that we generally rely upon have fallen off significantly, so our revenue estimates are probably off in those areas. And then when we take into consideration the energy costs, again, the school department's locked in for another 2 months, I think, on their energy costs, and then they get an adjustment. we have some small, ability there. I guess we're locked in for a little bit on some of our contract, but for the most part, we're as vulnerable as anybody else, we meaning the town as a whole. Our trash contract, our transportation costs for school buses, they're all being hit too. Now, I don't believe there's a clause, escalation clause for an increase in fuel costs for those contracts. However, if you don't work with those contractors, they're gonna go bankrupt. They can't afford to subsidize it because of the increased escalation costs. So we're gonna be forced into negotiations with these contractors. And again, it's not budgeted for, so we're talking, and we're not talking tens of thousands, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, I think, here, so. And here we are,
I
1 week
didn't
into the new
intend on
fiscal year.
turning this meeting into a doom and gloom meeting.
No,
by the way.
but we're 1 week into the fiscal year, and we already know that this stuff is facing us, so.
It's issues we have to address.
They're just challenges that we're gonna face, that, some of which we're
And we look
anticipating.
forward to meeting these challenges head on, don't we, Bob?
Of course. Any other things you want me to, bring to the attention of the facilitator when I meet, so we can have an
But
efficient
Tom, we
meeting?
expect some solutions.
As far as energy policy goes,
The solutions will be up to us.
Oh, Jesus.
Facilitator's only for guidance.
well, as far as energy policy goes and our energy costs, I know we have, we've had a lot of trouble getting the energy committee started. I mean, ever since February, we haven't had a meeting, and we haven't been able to get things moving again. I think if we came up with some
Why-
kind of a,
why
I don't know, it just hasn't happened. I mean, the chairmanship is, I handed it to John Welsh, and we just kinda haven't, nothing's really moved forward. I mean, it could probably be, well, probably, I'll take the hit for this one. I haven't really been pushing John to really get anything going, and I think part of the reason is we don't really have a defined direction. I think charging the energy committee, even though it's an ad hoc committee, with some kind of a definite direction and somewhere where we really want them to head, and we want them to find a savings or some kind of a direction to go in one direction, I think would be really helpful in getting things rolling. I don't know, it's just been very difficult to kind of get everybody together and get everybody.
Who's responsible for scheduling meetings?
Mr. Walsh.
John?
Just
Contact
to
you?
follow up on that issue, I have reached out to John, and also there's another gentleman on that ad hoc committee. I believe they've done an energy efficiency study of this building,
We have.
and they're waiting to hear back from the schools as to when they can go into those buildings and do this.
Well, that's been a, it seems like it's been a while coming for the most part. I mean, I guess you kinda have to wait till winter to do some of that stuff, because a lot of it was we were doing thermal imaging of some of the buildings and looking at different places where heat was escaping and different places where the insulation probably isn't thick enough, or we need new windows, things like that. So I mean, I can kind of understand that, but it seems like we're just kind of been floundering. It's been even at the meetings where we've been at, and it seems like everybody's running off in a different direction, and we don't have any defined area where we want to focus on.
Well, it seems to me that that's where you want to start. That's your starting point. You do your energy
Absolutely.
efficiency study of your buildings, determine what you can do in terms of controlling cost, what needs to be replaced. Is it a system? Is it windows? Is it insulation? What have you? You start from there. You get your list for each building. What needs to be done? You prioritize, and then see what funds are there to go forward.
The opportunity that we face is October town meeting, where we can take using the capital fund and use it to leverage some projects, but that can't be done without having some kind of a
Well,
measurement and
I'd like to put together the study and get something ready get some kind of a presentation ready for October town meeting, and just get word out to the town that we're actually doing something. Because it seemed like things were really, it was really moving forward at the first couple of meetings, and then once everybody started to go their separate directions, everybody it just kind of phased out, and I kind of want to get it rolling again.
Well,
It's really,
if we can get give the energy committee there a commitment to an article at the October town meeting warrant for some capital expenditures to meet some of the identifiable needs as far as creating some efficiencies, there's your first impetus, and they're gonna see,
I agree.
you know, I've been involved in a lot of committees and boards and commissions over the years, and one of the greatest things I got out of being on the Hillview Commission was, you had an idea, you brought it up, you did the research, and in a short period of time, you saw the fruits of your labor. Unlike sitting on this board, where you might suggest 20 years ago, you're still talking about it. But on the Hillview
Telling me
Commission.
that now, Steve?
Yeah, now I'm telling you. But no, but with the Hillview Commission, you got to see the fruits of your labor, and you kept people involved and kept them interested. And with something like, you know, with the energy committee, same idea. You know, let's see some progress in the short order, and then just keep working towards some larger goals. And it just keeps people motivated and keeps them interested. Whereas if we keep studying things, as we have a habit of doing, and put those studies on the shelves.
I'll take the hit as far as pushing things forward. I mean, I guess I haven't really taken the reins as much as I should have, especially this early on. But I don't know. I just like to see this committee get some kind of a direction.
I think, Mike, I think that's the starting point. You know?
But let's make a commitment to an article in October. We can bring it up at the next financial planning team, and if we need some more additional cooperation from the school department, I'm sure we can get that.
I mean, that
But
would
they've
be-
done their own studies too. I mean, the school department's actually done a pretty good
They
job.
have, actually.
We've done a great job of actually looking at their own facilities and addressing
Wayne
some.
Hardake was actually at the last meeting talking about that for a
Right,
little while.
so they've done a very good job. So
They
let's just
have.
take
I
that
mean,
information.
everybody on the committee everybody's done something, and it looks really positive, and it just seems like we don't really have a defined direction and a defined goal where we want to go with everything. And I
Pick
just-
it, and come bring it to us, and we'll bless it.
Right.
Pick it, and we'll
Well,
bless
something
it.
the job of the liaison is to take.
It's true. And
Help the committee
I'll admit,
move
I
it
kind
forward,
of dropped
so.
the ball after, a little bit after
Well, I'm
February.
glad you brought
but
it up,
it's-
so we could beat you over the head with it.
Hey, it's all right. That's what I'm here for, right?
Okay. Any other suggestions or thoughts? If you do have some, afterward, just email you. I'm meeting with you on Thursday of next week.
Is this the meeting that we're having on the 21st?
Yeah.
Is this a meeting where department heads are going to be invited to participate as well?
No, this is just
board
a
meeting?
board meeting where the chair can participate, because we're gonna have a facilitator, and we're just gonna kind of roll up our sleeves and see if we can create some kind of a strategic plan, kind of get where people are going, with the aid of facilitator. I did invite Representative Brad Jones to come by and give us a view of what's going on in the State House and what opportunities, might lie out there. But other than that, we're gonna start with dinner at the Hillview at 6, and we're gonna go until we're worn out. It's a public meeting. It's over at the Hillview in their meeting room, but the public will be not entertaining any input from the public. Okay. Town administrator's report. I think we may have jotted down a few notes. Actually, no.
I don't know if there was one.
No, it wasn't, that's right. So, old and new business. You want to start, Sean?
I can just start on a couple of things. I just want to commend the July 4th committee on another outstanding July 4th celebration of the town of North Reading. And I thank them for all the time and effort they put in planning a 3-day event in which the weather didn't quite cooperate on the first night, but on July 4th there was another spectacular event, which I had the opportunity to speak at briefly for the opening ceremonies.
Oh, good. I'm glad that somebody was there.
Representative Jones was there. He took the lead, and then I said a couple of words. I've been in contact with the Martins Pond Association. They've formed a subcommittee, Crime Watch Committee. They've had a number of issues up in that area concerning vandalism to Clark Park and some of the amusement equipment they have up there for little children. There's been a lot of activity, young kids there late at night, and also they've had some issues regarding vehicular traffic, the speeding of traffic, and so forth. And so I've been in touch with Chief Nolan. He's assigned 3 members of his department, Sergeant Jones, Sergeant Romeo, and Lieutenant Brennan, who my understanding are going to meet